Hey, this is Dr. Barry. Let's chat for just a few minutes about the food groups. Do the food groups actually matter? Are they based on common sense or science or an ancestrally appropriate human diets? If you've been given crappy nutrition advice, dietary advice, or if you're completely confused about what human beings should eat or not eat, please consider clicking subscribe. Subscribe to this channel because that's one of the things I talk about a lot. Talk about other health topics, but nutrition is actually the foundation of all human health. So also, if you want to get a notification every time I post a new video, you can click the little bell right beside the subscribe button. Now let's talk about the food groups. We were taught about the food groups our entire life from kindergarten, first grade on. And so it seems like that they are, written in stone, brought down from the mountain. They must actually mean something. There must be some science or something behind that. Where did they actually come from? You may have heard of the United States Department of Agriculture. That's a department in the federal government of the United States. And so they've been coming up with food guides since before 1900. They actually, the USDA was founded by our Abraham Lincoln, a previous president of ours, and through the decades has had numerous controversies as to whether they were a needed department or not. For years, they weren't even a voting member on the cabinet of the president. There's been multiple lawsuits brought against the USDA about various discrimination things going on with farming. And then back in 2015, you may remember the secretary of the USDA wanted to resign because there was literally nothing for him to do. He would come into his office and just sit all day, and he felt guilty for getting paid like that. And President Obama found him some stuff to do, didn't accept his resignation, said, no, here's you some extra work if you don't have anything to do. So that's the department we're talking about here. And so the first time they came up with a food grouping, there were 5 food groups. Then a few years later, they come up with another one, and there were 7 food groups. And then in 1956, the one that really kind of stuck with all of us, the one you probably think of, is the basic 4 food groups, right? Dairy, meat, vegetables, and fruit in one group, and then uh, breads and cereals, which is basically grain. Those were the 4 food groups that the federal government came up with in 1956. And the reason I think this is a big deal to talk about is because I see on social media a lot when people are trying to argue that the standard American diet is actually correct, or the American Diabetes Association diet, or the American Heart Association diet, and they're trying to talk bad about low carb, high healthy fat, or the ketogenic diet, or even carnivore. They'll say, well, if you're trying to eliminate entire food groups, then obviously that diet has to be incorrect. So they believe, and they're implying that the basic 4 food groups are based on some kind of science or research or anthropology, archaeology, common sense, something. But in all reality, these food groupings are completely and totally arbitrary when it comes to your health and nutrition. Okay. Now, they may make some agricultural sense when it comes to farmers trying to sell their products, which I'm all for. I love farmers. I think farmers should do their job. But yeah, there's no science behind the 4 food groups. And so if you wanted to eliminate 2 food groups, there's no science to show that that's bad, wrong, stupid. There's nothing. There's just nothing. And so I was doing the research trying to make this video, and I came quickly to the conclusion, wow, these 4 food groups are based on nothing. And so just to let you know where we're at today, after the basic 4 that came out in 1956, then we had next, a few years later in 1980, the hassle-free food guide. You may or may not remember that, probably not. It had back to 5 food groups again. Then next we had the food wheel. I don't remember that. I don't know if you do or not. It listed 6 food groups. So, and then we had the food pyramid, the infamous USDA food pyramid, and it was back to 5 food groups again. So they had actually eliminated a food group. So if people get triggered because you're wanting to eliminate a food group, tell them that the federal government did that when they went from the food wheel to the food pyramid. They just eliminated a food group. So obviously that can't be good for you. See the silliness of that logic? It just makes no sense at all. And then after the food pyramid, currently we have My Plate, which also has 5 food groups. So they added a food group. So if taking an entire food group out of your diet is dumb and bad, then probably adding a food group is also dumb and bad. I don't know. And so, sorry that this is a little tongue in cheek. I'm trying to be serious here, but there's just really no seriousness when it comes to the basic four food groups. Completely arbitrary. They're backed in no science, no research, no common sense, no ancestrally appropriate human diet. There's nothing to back these up. Some folks just got together at the U.S. Department of Agriculture and said, let's group them like this, and that's what we'll do. And so there have been anywhere from 4 food groups to 7 food groups, depending on what year you ask the federal government how many food groups there are. And so if someone says to you when you're trying to eat a more ancestrally appropriate diet, well, you're eliminating an entire food group and that can't be healthy, you know immediately what they're saying is based on nothingness. They are not thinking, they're not studying, they're not researching. They're in no way an authority that you should listen to. You can laugh and pat them on the back and bless their heart because they truly don't know what they're talking about. Okay. So that's the scoop on the basic 4 food groups. Stop worrying about them. They're based on no science, no research, and no common sense whatsoever. Now, if you know someone who's been worried about, oh gosh, but you're eliminating an entire food group, please share this video with them and so we can help enlighten them as well. You can share this on your Facebook page, on your Twitter, on your Instagram. You can even send an email with a link, okay? Now, I'm always trying to make videos like this, and if you'd like to help me have just a little more time to make videos like this, you can click on my Patreon link. It's right down there. Sign up very quickly and throw a buck or two my way so that I have more time to make videos just like this. This is Dr. Berry. I'll see you next time.